Hi, I'm Mrs. Gilbert.
And I'm Miss Wilson.
Our mental health lesson is on child trafficking and substance abuse prevention. The lesson objectives are for you to identify different kinds of trafficking and steps you can take to keep yourself safe from child traffickers and exploitations, pinpoint ways to set boundaries with people you don't know well, and avoid peer pressure.
Mrs. Gilbert and I care about our students a lot, and we want to help you establish ways to avoid substance abuse and addiction. We want to also help you identify actions to take if someone makes you feel unsafe or if you suspect a friend is being trafficked.
Let's go over some vocabulary. Personal boundary is a limit we set with other people to protect ourselves.
Substance abuse is the excessive use of any substance, especially ones like alcohol or illegal drugs.
Coerce means to trick or convince someone to do something that is illegal or harmful.
Domestic servitude is a special category of labor trafficking in which one serves as a housekeeper, maid, or child care worker for little to no pay.
Sexual exploitation is the act of forcing children and teens to have sex in exchange for food, clothing, safety, shelter, or money.
Many think of slavery as a problem of the past, but even today, at least 27 million people are enslaved. Half of these are under the age of 18. Although it is illegal, child trafficking, the recruitment, transport, transfer, and harboring of minors, is a multi-billion-dollar business.
Not only are millions of victims of this terrible crime forced to have sex against their will, but they are also made to work in sweatshops and on farms with little or no pay. Victims may live in traditional home settings, yet are forced to serve as housekeepers or nannies. Some children and teens go willingly. Some are coerced, some are abducted. All are victims.
The United States is a country of both origin and destination for child trafficking victims. This means that there are teens in the U.S. who are forced into slavery. However, even more are brought here from other countries after being abducted. Predators often convince these vulnerable young people that the only way to have a better life is to work for the traffickers. They are often promised their freedom after a certain amount of time, but that rarely happens.
Take a moment to close your eyes and think of what a trafficker or predator might look like. What did you see? Was it an older man with creepy eyes and a scraggly beard? My juniors may be imagining Roger Chillingworth in The Scarlet Letter. But the truth is, there are all types of individuals involved in the exploitation of children. Young and old, men and women, anyone. Here is a video that shows how trafficking can affect teens no matter where they live.
I was trafficked with 13 other girls, and I am the only one who's still alive today.
My youngest daughter said, "I want to tell you about my missions project," and I said, "Okay, what is it?" She said, "Human trafficking." I said, "Oh, like Cambodia and Thailand." She said, "No, Mom, like Denver." And I was just blown away. What do you mean this happens here?
We're recovering girls and boys at a rate of over 100 a year. That's just what we know about and the tips that we get, and we really try to stay proactive. I would venture to say we're getting several thousand. I mean, it's really hard to put a number on that just because it's a crime that likes to hide in plain sight. People believe that kids are going to get kidnapped off of the street or kidnapped from their homes. That's really not what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot more of these kids be approached in local shopping malls, at school, at parks, through social media.
It's not that these kids are all runaways, they're not all drug addicts. They didn't all just decide to go sell themselves. They were groomed, they were attracted by someone who they felt loved them, someone that they felt really cared about them. They just didn't know that this was going to happen or that it could happen.
Complete the quiz. Why is it hard for law enforcement to tell how many children and teens are being trafficked? People think it could never happen in their town? True. They don't keep data about that. False. It's a crime that hides in plain sight. True. People don't realize it's happening. True.
How do traffickers find their victims? In schools, in malls and shopping centers, online, or at restaurants and coffee shops? The answer is all of the above.
Predators look for teens with low self-esteem, who are willing to take risks, who don't have a good relationship with their parents, and those who use drugs and alcohol. Although most victims are young girls, young men are trafficked as well. The first step for any trafficker is to gain your trust. For this reason, they look for victims who are comfortable sharing personal information. Then they use all the info they've gathered against their victims. For example, one trafficking victim used to share pictures of herself and her little sister. Later, a predator who befriended her online used threats against her sister to coerce her into leaving the state with him.
Giving out personal information and trusting people we don't know well is a sign of weak boundaries. When we have firm, healthy boundaries, we can avoid risky situations and refuse things like drugs and alcohol. When we have problems setting boundaries, we tend to go along with the crowd and overshare. This makes us targets for predators.
Unfortunately, a human trafficker probably won't actually seem sketchy or threatening. He or she might come across as cool and interesting or warm and understanding, and offer you things that you really want or even need. Don't fall for it. The best way to protect yourself is to use caution and set clear boundaries with people you don't know.
Take a moment to watch this video that helps us learn the difference between online friendships and real friendships.
It's just, I think trust is the main thing.
So I have become friends with people who are friends of friends, or I know through other people. I'll add them on, Instagram or Snapchat, whatever it is I'm using. And maybe I'll just say hi or just start a conversation.
There's things that you can tell people online that you can't tell people in real life. At the same time, you have to know how to be safe, right?
I would say I'm more comfortable talking face to face because on social media, you can talk to people, but it's hard to communicate a sense of realness and emotions.
If the person is a total stranger to you, they may have an alternative motive trying to get other information out of you.
They might be pretending to be somebody that they're not. They might be using you for something.
Please don't tell people online your full name or where you live.
You don't actually know who they really are, and you need to be sure that they're okay.
I think a lot of people assume that because you have a friend online and they're kind of not always in your day-to-day and you can choose and edit what you say to them, that it's always going to be good, but it's still a relationship. It's still two people, and you're giving them a lot of information about yourself.
Complete the quiz. True or false? There are people on social media who pretend to be someone they're not. True. One of the ways that teens get into trouble online is by sharing personal information with someone who pretends to be a teen, but is really an adult predator.
True or false? It is okay to tell someone online your full name or address if they are a friend of a friend. False. You should never share personal information with people online, even if they say that they know someone you know.
True or false? An online relationship is a real relationship. True. If you interact with someone online regularly, that can be considered a real relationship. However, it is easier to trick someone online, so these types of friendships must be built with caution.
It is important to know how to keep yourself safe from traffickers and to notice the warning signs in your friends and classmates. Because victims may not be able to ask for help, it is up to us to seek aid for them. Do you have a friend who shows any of these warning signs? Seems stressed, worried, depressed, or emotional all the time? Appears to be neglected in some way, a lack of food, water, sleep, medical care, misses school often, or has excuses for why he or she can't go to school or hang out with you anymore, frequently runs away from home, lives with someone other than his or her parents, or is part of the foster care system, suddenly has an influx of money or expensive things such as a phone or designer clothing, talks about an older boyfriend or girlfriend or friend he or she just met in person or online, is using drugs, alcohol, or other harmful substances.
Remember, you can share your concerns with a teacher or other trusted adult and reach out for help through the Be Free text line by texting Be Free to 233-733 or calling the Florida Abuse Hotline, 1-800-96-ABUSE.
Substance abuse is one of the risk factors for child trafficking. This means that if you smoke, drink, vape, or do other drugs, you are more likely to be picked out by a predator than a teen who doesn't. A clear head will help establish clear boundaries.
Kalina's story is a cautionary tale of what can happen when teens start to use drugs and become addicted.
I think I was 12 when I first smoked pot, and then by age 15 I was smoking crack, and by 16 I was shooting heroin.
In between, she was popping pills.
Adderall, Ritalin, Vyvanse, Percocets. I don't know all the names of them because a lot of times I would just get handed bags of pills.
She went from a very happy, bubbly little girl to
really depressed, like very suicidal.
So it was a quick, dramatic, and rapid change.
Kalina turned to drugs when her parents split up.
That's Dad snowboarding.
I think her starting in drugs and stuff was a way to sort of ease some of the pain that she was experiencing in her life.
I liked being numb.
Kalina soon progressed to harder drugs.
I started shooting up when I was 15. I started using needles.
I didn't realize that people were like shooting up heroin in the Upper Valley, you know, as a teenager.
There came a point where like I wanted to stop and I couldn't.
Addiction specialists say family stress, problems at school, and a desire to fit in are all common triggers for teen drug abuse, leading to a vicious cycle of addiction.
They need the drug because they want to feel good, and if they don't get the drug, they feel bad, and so they have to kind of take it for both reasons, and then that's really when you see these addictions pick up the pace.
The first thing was I had to get her help.
That's when she began dialing hospitals and treatment centers.
I had to call about 400 places, making sure somebody will take her. You have to keep pushing until you get the help you need.
Kalina entered her first drug rehab at age 15, quickly relapsed when a friend shot himself, and a year later suffered yet another blow when a girl she befriended suffered a fatal overdose.
Sit by your grave and cry.
Emotionally bruised and addicted to drugs, Kalina has been in and out of hospital emergency rooms multiple times.
She's been close to death so many times that as a parent, you don't want to see your child die. I've been in the emergency room. I've been with the police looking for her in the woods. I've been not knowing if she was dead or alive so many times that it just, there's a level of fear that I'm not sure will ever go away.
I've lost jobs. I've lost tons of money. I've burnt tons of bridges with family and with friends, and you know, I lost confidence in myself. I lost respect for myself and my body.
Kalina has never lasted more than 3 months in recovery, but she says she takes it seriously now, especially with a baby on the way.
I've never given up hope that Kalina will be clean and that she'll be happy. And I feel like I would do anything to make that happen.
My mom never abandoned me. She always stuck by my side, and she didn't support it, but she didn't just leave me in the dust.
I think one of the most important things is not to give up hope on them.
It's a long road ahead for Kalina, and help is scarce. Only 1 in 10 who need treatment for addiction receive it.
I think society has to really think about investing in helping people, because everybody thinks it's somebody else until it's somebody in their own family.
Kalina's not alone. There are just lots of kids like her, and when they don't get help, you know, they end up like a lot of her friends. They end up dead.
Please just open your eyes.
Here's another quiz. Like many teens who struggle with substance abuse or fall into the hands of traffickers, Kalina had a happy home life, only used drugs after 18, went to school every day, or came from a broken home. If you picked came from a broken home, you are correct. Like many teens who start using drugs or drinking, Kalina experienced a lot of emotional pain when her parents divorced. She began using drugs to make herself feel better, but it actually made the problem worse.
Why has Kalina relapsed so many times? She doesn't want to stop using. Getting off drugs can be difficult. Other people gave her drugs to use. All of the above. Unfortunately, most teens don't realize how easy it is to develop a substance abuse problem.
There are things that make a person more at risk for a substance abuse problem. These include living in poverty, having parents or friends who abuse drugs and alcohol, lacking meaningful relationships, struggling with schoolwork.
Although some of these risk factors are beyond your control, for the most part, you have power over who you interact with, both in person and online. If you find yourself in a situation where you are encouraged to take part in activities involving substance abuse, don't give in to peer pressure. Surround yourself with people you trust and who have your best interest at heart.
By staying sober and aware, You'll reduce your risk of being trafficked. With that being said, just saying no isn't always easy. If you start to feel pressured by someone to use harmful substances, you can stay assertive. Once you've said no, continue to decline additional offers. Make an excuse for why you can't or why you need to leave. Use a delay tactic by saying not today or not right now. If you feel strong and comfortable, apply positive pressure and encourage your friend to avoid using drugs, drinking, or smoking as well. Talk to a parent, your teacher, or a school counselor.
Do's and don'ts. Let's practice and see if we can remember what we should do and what we shouldn't do to keep ourselves safe from traffickers and others who want to hurt us. Do stay aware of your surroundings when you're out in public. One way to protect yourself is to travel in packs with friends. Do set personal boundaries and say no when you feel pressured to do something that you know is wrong, like drinking, taking pills, or smoking. Do tell a trusted adult if someone you've met in person or online makes you feel uneasy. Do reach out for help if you or someone you know is a victim of child trafficking or other abuse.
Don't share personal information like your name, address, or phone number with anyone online or in person. Don't send risky photos to anyone ever, even if you think he or she is a friend who promises the pictures won't be shared. Snapchats don't always disappear after a few seconds. Not only does this put you in a compromising position, you could be breaking the law. Don't abuse drugs, alcohol, or tobacco products, even vaping. Abuse of these products increases your risk of being exploited or trafficked. Don't meet up with someone you don't know well, even if they make you promises of things they will give or do for you. Don't travel with friends without telling your parents or family where you are going and who you are traveling with.
If you have a friend who you think is showing warning signs of trafficking or substance abuse, it's time to help. Help as soon as you can. Don't assume that this will pass or that your friend is just having a bad day. If you see signs of potential human trafficking or see your friend suffering, help as soon as you can. Empathize with what they're going through. There's no need to have the perfect words planned and ready to use. You just need to show that you care and want to support your friend. Listen, and don't try to solve all their problems. You don't have to solve the problem or have all the answers. Just having someone to listen to them and support them is helpful. Plan your next steps. If your friend isn't already getting help, you should talk to a trusted adult about what you've seen and heard. Regularly call and check in with your friend.
If you're feeling trapped in a dangerous situation, it's time for you to act. Apply coping strategies because people don't think clearly when they're upset. Don't do anything extreme until you've calmed down. Take deep breaths and imagine yourself in a calm, peaceful place. Consider your options for help. Identify an adult you trust. This may be a teacher, coach, counselor, parent, or another relative. Someone who you can talk to about what you're experiencing and who can keep you safe. Talk to that person. If you trust this person, you already know that he or she is someone you can talk to about your situation. Don't wait. Go talk to that trusted adult at once. Your safety is the most important thing.
Key takeaways. Child trafficking is a real risk that you must protect yourself from. It is important that you know the risk factors that make a teen more likely to be targeted. You must also recognize the warning signs so you can help keep others safe.
Be aware of your surroundings and take caution with strangers, people you've met online, and even friends. Don't share any personal information with people you don't know well. If someone you've met online or on social media asks you to send pictures, wants you to go out of town with them, or offers you something like an expensive phone or a work opportunity, say no and talk to a parent or friend.
Setting healthy boundaries is an important way to avoid peer pressure and protect yourself from predators. Practice saying no and standing firm on what you believe is right and wrong. Even if you're unsure, it's best to say no.
You should never abuse alcohol, smoke, vape, or other drugs. If someone offers you something that isn't healthy for your body, you should say no or make an excuse and walk away. Even if friends or family members are using, that doesn't mean that you have to.
Always tell a trusted adult if you feel unsafe or think that a friend is being hurt or exploited.
Here is a list of local and national resources. Be Free text line. Text Be Free to 233-733. The Florida Abuse Hotline, 1-800-96-ABUSE. Florida Agency for Migrant and Seasonal Farm Worker Exploitation, 1-800-633-3572. National Human Trafficking Hotline, 1-888-373-7888. National Runaway Safe Line, 1-800-RUNAWAY. Crisis Text Line, 741-741. And 211 Helpline, dial 211 or text your zip code to 898-211.
Now continue the conversation. How can you use the information you learned in this lesson to help yourself, to help your friends and family, to help other people?
Look, we know prom is close. The worst moment for a teacher is learning that a student whom we loved and cared about was put in harm's way.
We want you to be safe. Look at your life, look at your choices.
Thanks for listening, Warriors.